We have 10 that we have presented in front of us, and 8 of them are lecturers.
Imagine spending years earning your PhD or being one of the best in your field, and then being told your job is at risk, not because of your qualification, but because you're not a South African citizen.
I'll move very fast to the issue of foreign teachers. We have 10 that we have presented in front of us, and 8 of them are lecturers. What special and scarce skills are they providing in the institution that was not found in the country? Out of all 8, which special skills do they provide that was the scarce skill that you could not find in the country, that you had to go outside the country and get them? 8 are from Zimbabwe. They don't provide any scarce skills. It's Bachelor of Engineering, honors, Bachelor of Science, and honors in Agriculture. There's nothing that is rare and not found in the country. If I may ask, why did they get the first preference rather than filling the gap of the unemployment that we're facing as the country? I'm speaking of 8 people that are employed, not providing anything that is different from what we have. So further ask, did you exhaust finding a candidate in South Africa rather than jumping to another Zimbabwean? This is the 8th one. And 2, I'm not being xenophobic, I'm just trying to address a question that we have.
No, correct, ma'am. As the research, ma'am, I'm advised by HR here that it was council resolution that that person must be appointed.
It was advised by
HR here that it's a council resolution that the SD research must be appointed or must be given a contract.
What process did you follow there?
Chair, we did recruitment and selection process, and then candidates were shortlisted, and then we also conducted interview before appointing. However, we did not go outside that process to look for South Africans that are qualifying. I think that was our error on our side, Chairperson.
Now, South Africans are now going after foreign lecturers in South Africa. Yes, they believe that there are more foreign lecturers than there are South African lecturers in South Africa. Now, some people are saying that they actually have highly educated South Africans who struggle to find academic jobs. And they also argue that public universities are highly funded by South African taxpayers, and so therefore employment opportunities should primarily benefit South Africans. Some people also believe that universities should invest more in promoting local researchers other than relying on international recruitment. For them, the issue is about protecting jobs and building local expertise.
I think we started this process sometime last year when we had received complaints from some of the professors who had told us that some of the institutions against the law are preferring foreign nationals over South Africans. We then, because it was late in the year, we decided at the first term this year, we're going to start with the first meeting on the 18th of February this year, where we interrogated some of the data. The department, the data that they brought to us could not help us have a clearer picture. So we then, after that meeting, gave them to get all the information from universities, gave them a month. They did so. There was a misunderstanding between us and them. We said a month, and then they said they thought it's 2 months, but indeed around the 18th of April they sent us the data. We looked at the data, and as and when we interact with institutions, we'll then ask them to explain some of the data that they would have sent to us. And you may have seen that 2 weeks back we had a meeting with the University of Cape Town, and what came out of the data that we got from them is that at the professor level we have about just under 40% which are white professors. We had just under 40% which are foreign professors, and about 20% which are black, a combination of black, Indians and colored professors, which paints a bad picture for us, because this government since around 2013, using different programs like your NGAP program to get black, whites and Indian, or blacks, Indians and colored professors or academics to get their professorship and their doctorship. It means government has spent a lot of money, and at least at this institution and 3 others, the results have not shown.
What are the 3 others?
So where we have foreign national professors which are greater than those of the combination of blacks, Indians and colors, it's so far our data shows us it's UCT, it's University of Free State, University of Pretoria and University of Venda. And all of them, in fact at UCT, the numbers are quite shocking, because it's 39.3% of all professors at that institution are foreign nationals.
You are not allowed to hire a foreign national unless you've proven that a South African is not qualified. You can't be having lecturers that are only foreign nationals because one foreign national came and then started hiring other ones. Wits University or whatever university. I mean, institutions of higher learning themselves are breaking the law.
Today I'm going to be speaking about the 7,000 plus foreigners who are actually hired or employed in South African universities. If you're looking at the stats, you're looking at 27% of these people being from Zimbabwe. You have 14% of these people being from Nigeria. You have actually the University of Johannesburg, which has the highest numbers of foreigners being employed. Currently, they're sitting at 1,400 foreigners being employed in the University of Johannesburg. And yeah, these are the situations or the numbers that came in for 2025 around university space. Now, I have a huge problem with this a million times in many different ways. Number one, I myself am a South African graduate. I am a South African by born. I'm a South African. My highest qualification is a master's degree, so I already qualify to be a lecturer. I already qualify to be an academic development officer, like various positions in university spaces I actually qualify for. Another thing is I do have the experience of actually working in university space, and I know a lot of teachers who are actually working in China, who are working in South Korea, that we worked together in university space with the experience, but the system failed to actually absorb South Africans and actually employ us. Rather, it had to be all China, it had to be all South Korea to actually hire and employ us and give us the salaries we deserve. So yeah, that is the first issue. The second issue is when it comes to Zimbabweans, Nigerians or Malawans or any African or any other person, even if it's Chinese, who's actually going to be hired in South African universities, you do not understand the South African markets, you do not understand the South African people who you are going to be teaching, the students. You need to understand and have a background, and it's best to actually hire South Africans in universities because they understand the history of the black students in majority, which you are going to be teaching in university. First of all, you look at the apartheid. You need to understand these students come from certain areas. Most of them come from townships. Most of them come from rural areas, because that is how apartheid was set up. So if you are in a lecture room and you find there's 100 students and 80% of them are black, you need to understand probably more than 60 to 70% of them have actually grown up in the townships or the rural areas. So you need to know these things and understand even the schools in these places. You need to understand Quansel 1 to Quansel 4. What does this mean in South Africa? You need to understand that even the language barrier. You're going to be speaking in English. You do not know these kids if they're coming from which rural area. How are they going to present and actually speak in the university space? Some of them, they're actually seeing a computer for the first time, even access to e-Wi-Fi for the first time in university. So you need to understand all these things and actually be able to communicate with them, whether you mix English with isiZulu, you mix English with isiXhosa, you mix English with isiSotho. So you have to be able to actually speak and understand their language, of which the Zimbabweans they don't, of which the Nigerians they don't. Maybe Zimbabweans is Ndebele, it's close, similar, they can maybe hear the lectures, but I've had my lecture from Go Zimbabwe. I think I've had probably 1 or 2 lectures in university who are from Go Zimbabwe, and to be honest, I've never heard them actually speaking in the native language. It's always English. So if you are going to be wanting to articulate yourself, you have to strictly speak English nabo, which is kind of a downfall when you're looking at the geographical setup of the South Africa, the history of South Africa. You'd find that in South Africa there are still schools who actually opt to use isiZulu and English to actually teach their learners, because if you're going to be speaking isiZulu English one way, those children are going to fail. Believe me, those children are going to fail if you're just going to get into the classroom and just teach English. Trust me, when you go into the township schools, when you go to rural areas, those children are going to fail because of the background, it doesn't support such. So you'd find that in university, you now have a lecturer from Japan, you now have a lecturer from Nigeria, you now have a lecturer from Zimbabwe. They're not going to know all those things. They're just going to teach there, and they're going to wonder, why are these children all failing? What's going on? So these are just some of the things I want to highlight about the disadvantages of these universities actually hiring foreigners over South Africans, and also the financial setup. When you look at the employment rates in South Africa, they are the worst in the whole world. We all know that South Africa has the highest unemployment rates for each adults or even the young graduates like us. We are the highest in the world when it comes to unemployment rates. That is why you'd find which is South Africa even right now are on the streets protesting about illegal immigration and all those things, because they feel like they are not given the attention, and rightfully so. Here are the numbers: 7,000 plus jobs given to foreigners, whereby I know for a fact there are a lot of South Africans who actually qualify for these jobs. Another thing is lecturers are obviously going to be out of touch with the grievances of learners, because they do not understand them. They do not understand how the child is going to wake up emlazi, take his stimela sang of 4, attend the UKZN class, if he was 6 and going to leave the following 6 or 12 hours a day. So probably that child is going to leave the stimulus at 6, going back home, the same cycle. You give them assignments, you give them all these things that they are not going to understand. What is the situation in Numlazi, whether they're under NSFAS, what are the benefits of NSFAS, the grants, the type. They do not care, because those things they do not understand and have never been in those shoes. So yeah, I do not understand why would South African universities actually hire more foreigners, or a lot of foreigners, because if you're looking at 27% of Zimbabweans plus 14 of Nigerians, that means probably 40% of the universities across South Africa have actually hired foreigners over South Africans.
This story raises an important question, and I would like to know what we think. I would like to know our own opinion. Do you think South Africa should put local academics first, or do we think universities should just hire the best qualified candidates, no matter their nationality? Let's share our thoughts respectfully in the comments. And if you found this video informative, you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in my next one.